is a cool stat. Some wrestlers right now at the top of the card got into wrestling thanks to the vast amount of video games out there. That's awesome. These titles went on quite a journey too, because before they did start matching what was happening in other sports with a singular franchise, we used to get unique games per console. I tell you, it was a different time. So with all that, let us sit down and run through the best ever wrestling video games. As always, this list has been compiled by committee. Some I agree with, some I don't. But I am Simon Miller, and yeah, here's the best wrestling games ever. Number 15, Legends of Wrestling 2. So we start off controversial. I would not have put this here, but that's the beauty of Acclaim's second Legends of Wrestling. Divides people right down the middle. Some folk love it. I think the joy comes from how it nodded to the past because the career mode is based on the old territory system. It meant you went to former strongholds like Florida, Texas, and Atlanta, and if you picked Jerry the King Lawler as your character, eventually you even run into Andy Kaufman. It was made for the nerds. The core of the game is sort of based around WWF Attitude, which is not good, but at least the control system has been made more intuitive. You are not now having to put in Mortal Kombat combos just to do a body slam. Eddie Guerrero sneaks into the roster too, even though he had re-signed with WWE, and I suppose that's why it's nice to give it a mention. You need alternatives no matter what the game, so if you fancy something different to have a PS2 lying around, well, it's probably worth it. Number 14, WWE Day of Reckoning 2. So this one goes back to the intro. When the Nintendo GameCube was in its pomp, it got its own wrestling game entitled Day of Reckoning. That's why the sequel is hilariously named It's the Second Day of Reckoning. That is bad times. Because there were so many games around this point, it does get overlooked, but it's genuinely great fun. The submission system has been well thought out, and the stamina bar actually allows matches to feel like wrestling. What a concept. I think because Ukes were making so many titles, they felt comfortable mixing this with what fans like and expected, so you just get the very best of what makes these games good. It feels arcadey, but there's strategy to it too. If you're not used to the famous spirit meter, it will take a while, but it works, and don't worry, your brain catches up. So it really is the core game where it excels, but the rest is actually good too. It's pretty streamlined, but bonkers enough to keep you interested. A hidden gem, I think, is the best description. If you know, you most definitely know. The 13 Saturday Night Slam Masters. In 1993, Capcom looked at pro wrestling and realized they would love a piece of that pie. As they had arcade cabinets everywhere, they were able to do that too. Basically took the idea of Street Fighter and rival Mortal Kombat and applied it to sports entertainment. It does mean you get side-on visuals, but the grappling is there too, and it's just so unique. It's proper over the top as well because, yeah, this was an arcade machine and therefore designed to eat your money. It's why the story mode is just enhancement talent to main eventer, but again, the whole point here is to mostly enjoy every match as much as possible. It came to home consoles eventually with the Sega Mega Drive version or Sega Genesis getting death matches, and you got some fan service. Hagar from Final Fight is a player character, as is Guile. He really does go with everything. You can button mash to your heart's content too, which is a plus because it means anybody can play it. The only real shame is that we never got a WWE license. Sure that was by design, however. Imagine the cost. It all means you can be a wrestling fan or a fighting game fan and get something from it. So basically, surprise, surprise, in the early 90s, Capcom knew what they were doing. But 12, WWF Wrestlefest. When it came to the World Wrestling Federation games at this time too, you do not have to worry because they were still fine. In 1991, they released Wrestlefest, and everybody loved it. Much like the above, you could mash buttons for joy or actually sit down and learn how it works, and that's the true brilliance. It can be an arcade experience, or it can be something more. The presentation is also awesome, although that likely doesn't come across today. Before this, though, we had WrestleMania on the NES, and look at the contrast between games. It was like Christmas had arrived in your eyes. You also had snippets from commentary, which was crazy, and so many wrestlers to choose from. Throw in the color palette you are looking at right now and just how fun it was to play. I do believe this is still good today. It is, of course, slightly more basic than a modern gamer would be used to, but in terms of a throwback, it more than holds up, and it's just so damn entertaining. Why are we playing games to begin with in the first place? Number 11, EWR Revenge. Let us get to the other side of wrestling games that do not get spoken about enough. Text-based titles. We go back to 2002 and Extreme Warfare Revenge, and look, if this passed you by, it likely looks so dull. If you got involved, you know how addictive it was, however. I suppose it's a bit like how people feel about Football Manager. These type of games are still out there, mostly with the TEW franchise, and yeah, everything about it is unofficial. Promotions, wrestlers, nicknames, it's all fictional, but thanks to download packs, you can customize it to your heart's content. From there, it's totally up to you, so you can choose WCW in 1993 or Vince McMahon before the Attitude Era, and just try and make your company work. You have to deal with backstage politics, TV ratings, pay-per-view buy rates, and all the other things angry wrestling fans shout about, but it all affects your playthrough. If you can't handle it, you'll go out of business. You have to use your imagination like many of these sim experiences, but if it's your bag, you can play this forever. It's as close as any of us will get to running a real promotion. It's definitely worth checking out if you've never dipped your toe into. I mean, genuinely, it could wreck your life, because it will steal all of your time. Number 10, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. This is a Japanese exclusive, so sure, it's somewhat of a niche. Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, though, is an Eastern fan's dream because it has the likes of Mitsuharu Misawa and Kenta Kobashi, plus representation from New Japan, FMW, Michinoku Pro, Pancrase Pride, and Andre the Giant turns up. Terry Funk is in there too. The shock is that the engine is exactly the same as WrestleMania 2000, one of the best titles of all time. When this was released in January 2000 though, it was as good as you could get, just with a Japanese twist. Therefore, the production is also scaled back because that's how these companies treated their product. And when you do take control of the MMA characters on the list, they play totally different to the wrestlers. It's not just a port, it is crazy well thought out. It is difficult to get today if you're going to ignore emulation, but if you have the time, I dare you to try it. It's really good, it's different, and it speaks to wrestling fans. And sometimes that is just not the case. Number 9, WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. If you have played every single game in this separate franchise, you may be surprised we've gone for SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. The group just felt like it took a lot of the new ideas went and made them work. Analog control was in for hitting moves, and yet the old option was there to choose too, and it looked way better because this was the series debuting on the Xbox 360. Also helped the presentation, but was more than fine on the PS2, and it's something that has sort of held up. I think once again you can play it today. It is the season mode where most fans rave about it because Ukes used the goodwill they'd earned, and they went crazy with some of the stories. I mean, the WWE was a soap opera anyway. Given this was a digital existence, let us go bonkers. It's a wonderful 180 if you're only used to the modern day My Rise journey too. This one will probably make your brain explode. I suppose in summary, it's the perfect sweet spot between what was and what would be. I mean, some of the future titles did get a bit slow, and maybe just a little bit overcomplicated. With 2007 though, you do get a bunch of modes, a huge roster, and of course can start creating things. I mean, it's never going to compare to what we are doing at the moment, but given that it's almost 20 years old, well, it did a damn good job. Number 8, WWE 2K24. Now, you may call it recency biased or that it was fueled forward by what happened in 2020, but good is good, and this was good. I mean, it's fine to make mistakes as long as you learn, and 2K24 was the culmination of a lot of great ideas. There's just so much to do. My Rise is still fun, whereas Showcase gives you a more historical alternative, and while My GM didn't live up to some fans' expectations, it's still more than capable. You can get lost in it. You also get Universe, where you can create your own WWE sandbox, and then there is the community creations. My gosh, there's almost literally anything you can think of. It is truly incredible and a work of art. The gameplay is a refined experience of what 2K has been working on as well, and the only info you actually need is that it is super duper fun. When you get some friends round on the same sofa, I tell you, there are a few games that are better. Those 1-2-oohs hit hard. I just think it has to be mentioned from an overall product perspective, because if nothing else, what can't you do? It really is very well done, and if this is the template for the future, well, we're gonna be in damn good hands. Number 7, Fire Pro Wrestling returns. Or Fire Pro Wrestling X on the SNES. I don't want to get into it here, only you can decide, it's your brain. With Fire Pro Wrestling Returns though, it's the gameplay that wins, which is always the way with this series. You do have to learn it to get the most out of it, because despite its retro visuals, you can dig in deep here. It's pretty damn great. That is the same with the customization, which is also just such a deep dive. There will be some figuring out with it, but when it does click, you can basically have any wrestler or promotion you've ever thought of. Do not forget, in terms of what we're talking about here, this was before the 2K titles and fans lost their minds. We may as well switch to number 6 here before we talk about the gameplay, because yeah, Number 6, Fire Pro Wrestling World. Now on release, this wasn't reviewed like an all-timer. I think it's because the hardcore fans felt like it was too accessible, but in terms of ranking games, well, it sort of makes it better. The creator options, once again, you can download on Next Level, because just think of a wrestler or logo right now, put it in your brain, and that's right, they're waiting and look like they were part of the final game. That community is second to none. This is where we shall get into the gameplay, because yes, it totally rules, but let's just hit repeat. You do have to learn it. The isometric camera and grappling system is going to confuse your mind, but nothing good worth having came easy. Once you do allow it to get in there though, there is no going back. It will change your life, and some of the matches you can put on, I tell you, it's damn ridiculous. The Handheld Warrior story is so Japanese it stands out a mile, and it's just an awesome entry into a historic series. It's not going to be for everyone, but it is considered heroic to those that do love it. Listen, if you are into wrestling games, I'm sure you've heard of Fire Pro Wrestling. There's a huge reason for that. It is a near-perfect alternative. Number 5, WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. There was a slight worry before Shut Your Mouth's release because the previous entry, Just Bring It, wasn't as good as fans had hoped. Didn't actually matter, because in 2002, THQ and Ukes came out a swinging. The core gameplay still rules, but wrestlers sell moves so well, you can actually treat it like a match, and the story mode is way better. It actually had depth this time, and actually when you put it into a box, I would call it an all-timer. Honestly, it's so good. It also tied into what you were seeing on the TV as you had draft and new superstars would debut on WWE Heat. And, dare I say it, it was actually funny. That could be the best part about these games. They didn't take themselves too seriously, and that was to its benefit. It's another one that you can still play today and enjoy, and once again, I'm just going to shout at you and tell you about the multiplayer experience. When you did have a bunch of friends round, man, you could make memories for life sitting down with this. It could just be so ridiculous in the right way. I don't think it's actually ever going to age. Number 4, WCW vs NWO Revenge. So I don't even know where to begin. You have no idea how excited I was for this when I was fresh out the womb. WCW vs NWO World Tour had opened a lot of people's eyes to what a wrestling game could be, but it was limited. The success was obvious though, which is why Aki Corp returned with WCW vs NWO Revenge. My gosh, it was incredible. This was less than a year later, which proved they did have a plan. This is the best WCW game ever. That's sort of unfair because its competition is mostly awful, but forget that. Revenge is a top-draw gaming experience in its own right. It looked great for the time, and I do believe the gameplay is actually timeless. It's another one that still holds up today, and the moves feel like they ruin your opponents. When you hit a finisher, sheesh. It's like you broke bones. The momentum system also meant you were only a short sequence away from making a comeback, and on occasion, you could hit your finish seconds in and win. Revenge also had button mashing down to a T, and the whole game was just cool. Reflected what was happening in reality because World Championship Wrestling had pulled ahead in the Monday Night Wars. It is without a doubt a legend of the genre, and I tell you I will remember it forever. Number 3, WWF Wrestlemania 2000. It is the forever chat, at least in my life. Do you pick this or No Mercy? The truth is it doesn't matter. It's an either-or situation. The reason I sneak it in is because of the impact it had back in the day. We just talked about WCW vs NWO Revenge, and the biggest flaw there if you were a WWF guy was that your favorite promotion had been ignored. No more. WrestleMania 2000 took all those ideas and built your Attitude Era superstars in, and it was the best. It was such an improvement from games like Warzone, which flattered to deceive, to say the least, and the sheer depth here. It felt like it had everything, including a massive roster. Once again, I cannot tell you how excited I was. It's why personally I think it's better than No Mercy because the ambition is more balanced. The sequel pushed the idea so hard the engine can't deal with the carnage on occasion. WrestleMania 2000 had no such issues. It's also another step forward when it comes to the classic blocky gameplay which fans still want to see today. There's a reason these titles get talked about over and over again. They were built to last. Damn it, they do. Number 2, WWF No Mercy. Controversial may be at the number 2 position, but yeah, we've just talked about the pros and cons. I do get it though. THQ just threw it all at No Mercy to the point it's going to be beloved forever. This even had ladder matches, which in 2000 felt like a dream, but it's the ebb and flow why it flies. When it all clicked, everything did feel like a wrestling match, because you'd be up, you'd be down, the action could increase from nowhere. There was this feeling of never knowing who was actually going to win. The story mode is wonderfully unhinged, even if Stevie Richards becomes a WrestleMania main eventer, and then, here we go again, There was the multiplayer. You couldn't have more fun back in the day or right now. It was the best. It went on to become one of the best-selling N64 games ever, and that's because it went further than wrestling fans. I think it was down to the challenge No Mercy could offer too. If you did increase the difficulty, this became a puzzle to defeat. All you need to know is that people are still playing this regularly right now, and when you do walk down the emulation path, it's a damn well 10 out of 10 perfect experience. Number 1, Smackdown, Here Comes the Pain. So of course you could interchange this with WWF No Mercy, but we put it here because Here Comes the Pain does not get the overall love it deserves. It's brilliant. The gameplay is the most Morris thing you could ever hope for, and the body damage system actually lets you be a submission specialist should you wish. The story mode continues on the tradition of trying to make you laugh out loud, and any fluff has been removed so the game moves at a frantic pace. There was no time to get bored. It was so well made you could even interrupt opponents' finishes without it totally breaking the experience, and that led into the freedom to pull off some mad spots. Every match, if you wanted, could be a WrestleMania classic. I don't understand why they took this out of modern games. Backstage area also allows for totally insane behavior, and the Legends roster was back. So there's another question, why did it vanish to begin with? The Elimination Chamber was also added so it felt right up to date, but it's the core parts which help Here Come the Pain. I mean, you go play it right now, it's still a blast, it's built to last. You'll be hard pushed to find an area of it that hasn't been sorted out too. It really is a legendary entry that even now is a struggle to beat. Those in charge got every aspect right. And I'll double down on what I just said. There are elements to this that should be in modern games. Let's get our placards and go and petition this right now. So of course, some of these games aren't going to be moved around and some are going to be added, so please do that in the comments below before you like the video, share the video and subscribe. And if you would like another list that will wind you up, you can click the video on the screen right now. Otherwise, my friends, I appreciate you all. You take care, and I'll speak to you again very soon.